My name is Paul Campbell, and I am going to continue to read Message to the Millennials by Brother Rizza Islam. Chapter 4: The College Educated versus the Autodidactic. This chapter right here, this information right here, this part here is an area that many may have mixed feelings and emotions about. Why? Simple. It challenges traditional thinking. It challenges what is called the Stockholm Syndrome within a person. Are you willing to conceive or even consider the fact that what you were taught may have been incorrect? Are you willing to even understand or even look at the idea that maybe what information you were given was a lie? Is it possible that you have gone to an institution and were not necessarily educated, but were simply indoctrinated? Could that be possible? College is a word that means an educational institution or establishment in particular, one providing higher education or specialized professional or vocational training. Another definition of college is an organized group of professional people with particular aims, duties, and privileges. Some of the synonyms for a college are educational institution, training establishment, center of learning, seat of learning, and the like. What I find interesting about this is, yeah, an average person, you wouldn't necessarily know if they went to college or not. In America, the average person wouldn't have known if one graduated from high school or not. The average person, you wouldn't know if they held one or more degrees or whether they completed one semester or 2 semesters, or even if they held a PhD and are currently teaching as a professor at an Ivy League or an HBCU or any type of college or school for that matter. According to CNBC, the United States is ranking in the top 10 of the most educated countries in the world, coming behind, of course, Israel, Korea, and China. I find that very interesting. How many people do you know who went to college are successful? Now, these questions are going to make you think, and they are going to, in some way, shape, or form, annoy you if you're either currently in college or if you have graduated from college, and if your life does not reflect the dream that they sold you. How many people have gone on to live a better life as a result of going to college? How many people have gone on to become successful entrepreneurs as a result of college, have taken their degree and have access to higher levels of wealth and eventually established their own corporation and business, etc.? Now, of course, there is a degree of this. In reality, there are people who have been successful. There are people who have gone on to create an established business and corporations. And there are people who have a degree of success in one way or another. However, is college the best route and the ultimate standard specifically in America? Even though CNBC said that America is in the top 10? The reason why I question that, and we should all question that, is because the results of America, if we have some of those top 10 of education, for instance, in the field of economics, then why is the economy in such a horrid condition? If we have some of those within the top 10 in agriculture, why is America becoming a food desert if we are ranked in the top 10 in education? Why is it that America's political area so insanely confused and nearly at a standstill still? These are just questions. So in doing more research, we will see what no America is not in the top 10, and the results are blatant in its condition. So according to World Population Review, The top 20 best educational systems are South Korea, Finland, Norway, Russia, the People's Republic of China, Japan, Estonia, Latvia, Israel, Sweden, Lithuania, Denmark, Ireland, the Taiwan province, Kazakh, Stan Slovenia, Singapore, Cyprus, China, and Georgia. Not the Georgia in America, but Georgia, formerly known as the Republic of Georgia, a country in the Caucasus region of Eurasia, located at the crossroads of Western Asia and Eastern Europe. Interesting, right? So America did not make it in the top 20. And as I looked into this even further, especially when you're looking at which countries have free education, it didn't make the cut. In this country, not only is it expensive, but the system of education here, specifically college, was based on the likelihood of debt to propel its perpetuation. And what do I mean by this? John D. Rockefeller, founder of the General Education Board, stated that I do not want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. End quote. That's pretty clear. But if that isn't clear enough, review Frederick T. Gates. Reverend Frederick T. Gates, who was the business advisor to John D. Rockefeller, said, in our dream, we have limitless resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. The present educational conventions fade from our minds, and unhampered by tradition, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsive rural folk. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or of science. We are not to raise up among them authors, orators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor will we cherish even the humbler ambition to raise up from among them lawyers, doctors, preachers, statesmen, of whom we now have ample supply. Let us get this straight. The current American school system took root around the turn of the century. In 1903, John D. Rockefeller founded the General Education Board, which provided major funding for schools across the country and was especially active in promoting the state-controlled public school movement. The General Education Board was not interested in encouraging critical thinking. Rather, its focus was on organizing children and creating reliable, predictable, obedient citizens and workers. As an award-winning former teacher, John Gatto puts it, school was looked upon from the first part of the 20th century as a branch of industry and a tool of governance. The Rockefellers, along with other financial elite and their philanthropic organizations such as the Gates, Carnegies, and Vanderbilts, have been able to mold society by funding and pushing compulsory state schooling for the masses. Why is this even relevant? Well, we are dealing with the college educated, or should we say for a large amount, the collective indoctrinated versus the autodidactic. Now the college educated are not all simply indoctrinated. As we stated before, there are plenty who have gone through college and have become quite successful, are very intelligent, knowledgeable, and have used that knowledge that they have acquired from college to go on to live wonderful lives and have done much for their community. However, the purpose of the overall education system within America, and particularly, is not intended to produce such a thing for the masses of the people. So what is an autodidact? An autodidact is defined as a person who has learned a subject without the benefit of a teacher or formal education, aka a self taught person. What is very interesting is that many of the people who you thought went to college and graduated with a degree never went to college, never obtained a degree. And the funny thing is, you heard about them all the time. I'll name just a few, okay? Michael Dale, Steve Jobs, Julian Assange, Bill Gates, Evan Williams, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, and John Corn. I'll repeat those names again just in case you missed it. Michael Dale, Steve Jobs, Julian Assange, Bill Gates, Evan Williams, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, and John Corn. As a matter of fact, the funny thing is less than 21% of the members of the House of Representatives graduated from a college, and less than 35% of those who are the 30 millionaires in the House attended college. About 739 of the 2,473 billionaires do not have a college degree. And in today's world, with YouTube and social media and the world of app developing and the well over 2,000 ways to make money, become a millionaire is not too far out of reality for many. So the old traditional system, or should I say the old system of a job, indoctrination that was put forth, which was to go to college and get a job, there's no longer the standard. That standard essentially was created for control purposes, indoctrination purposes, to make you into a worker and not a thinker. And working is not a problem. It is simply who you are working for. That is the problem. Who you are working to benefit, which may be the problem. Are you working for your people? Are you working for your culture? Are you working for your nationality and for the overall benefit of those around you? Are you working to benefit a corporation to feed your lifeblood into a system that, or any moment, whenever you drop dead, they have hundreds who will replace you? These are things to think about, because as we rise in awareness of what is happening in this world, we cannot argue and go back and forth, meaning those who are autodidactic, self-taught, self-learned, with those who are somewhat indoctrinated or college educated. If you have a college degree, that is fine. If you do not have a college degree, that too is fine. But both should seek and strive to reach higher levels of knowledge with the intent to use it to help the people to make progressive solutions that solve the problems and address a need that the community and the world has. One should never go to college simply to get a degree, just to make more money, because the intent is not strong enough to bring about the desired result over a prolonged period of time. But if you are doing it for something bigger than self, then it will be long lasting. Don't look down on the person who doesn't go to college, and don't look down on the person who does, but at least understand the foundation of where it is that you are going. There are more people in college today who are enslaved by student loan debt, and that student loan debt is used to feed into the overall national debt of the country. Currently, America states that she is over $22 trillion in debt. But if they add in all the debts, it is well over 60 trillion. So one incentive not to go, or at least not to take out loans, is that It is much better not to be a slave and to have a debt that would negatively affect you down the line. There are more men and women who are well within their 30s and 40s who are still paying off debts from college loans. Some know about Sally Mae. Some know about many different companies and organizations, and many graduated from college who have an associate's degree or even a bachelor's or even a master's, yet they work a minimum wage job. While many who have never obtained a degree have businesses. So let us not look at the perspective of simply one's own view of things and believe that the traditional way of doing it is the end all or is the most successful when in reality it is not. Regardless of whether you are in college or not, have gone or have not gone to college, or not seek higher levels of knowledge and become more of an autodidact. Never cease learning. Read every day. Study something every day. There are over 14 billion brain cells, and the average thought travels at 24 billion miles per second. The mind is limitless, so wasting too much time with adding information into it that will not necessarily be of any use to you, it's not wise. Some of our greatest leaders who we look up to, some of our greatest freedom fighters, well, we look up to never went to college, and some of them did go to college, while Martin Luther King Jr. went to college. Elijah Muhammad did not, while W.E.B. Du Bois went to college. Malcolm X did not. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan partially went to college but never graduated. There are many males and females who did this and who went on to change their lives and the lives of the people within their communities with or without a degree. And I have seen and witnessed and noticed many people who have attempted to debate the idea that if one does not have a degree, it makes them less relevant. In corporate America, that may be true, but in reality, not necessarily. To be successful simply takes work. It does not take a degree. And then again, we have to look at the overall goal of the mission, which is freedom, justice, and equality. And if we are seeking those three things, then it does not matter whether or not you are a man of letters or woman of letters, have book smarts or street smarts, because many brothers and sisters in the hood have levels of intelligence that shock the so-called higher learners or those who have attended institutions of learning. Unity is the solution in this regard as a collective or separately. We have a degree of movement that we will make within our respected areas. Whatever those occupations may be in the end of the system seeks to destroy through mass mind control, and we will have to decide whether or not to truly implement our knowledge to bring about change or to continue to bring about perpetual degradation. Time is moving very fast, and we are moving slower than what is necessary. Every civilization that wanted to change in a radical way had to change their frame of thinking, as well as the education, the way in which the people learned had to be adjusted, especially if they were under a tyrannical system of governance whose power was based on the amount of oppression and subjugation that it could deal out to its people. Both sides are needed. Those in corporate America and those in hood America are needed. Those who are upper class and lower class, those who have money and those who are simply striving to make however much they can on a daily basis. Both are needed because we are simply one people. Whether you or black and are a part of the Black melanated community, or if you consider yourself brown, or you consider yourself red, or even if you consider yourself yellow or white, your respective communities require this of you. None can survive as individuals. All have survived and will continue to survive as a collective, and whoever is educated the most will survive. But those who are educated the least and focus their knowledge and where they obtain their knowledge from and acquire their knowledge from on things and sources that are not necessarily helpful will not be able to sustain in life. That is a situation and a civilization and a group and a people who will cease to exist first, spiritually, then mentally and intellectually, and then morally and physically. Why smart civilizations win and dumb civilizations die. That is not a matter of opinion. That is a matter of scientific fact. Those who invest in their proper education have invested in their perpetuation. Those who have invested in their intellectual and educational degradation have already embraced their eventual end. Just simple truth that we should all get through our head. The year right now is 2019. So even though it sounds like things are just going to keep going as they normally go, there's nothing normal about it. In one instance, it is going down fairly quick. In another instance, it is going up fairly quick. Which wave are you going to ride? That is the question. My name is Paul Campbell, and this was Message to the Millennials, Chapter 4.